Hey, this is Type V3, and welcome everyone to the Sentinel RIOBOT Gurren Lagann. Ever since the anime's first introduction 5 years ago, there have been many figure iterations of the famous super robot, but could this release possibly be the one to claim the top spot? Well, I'm sure we'll have an answer in just a short moment, but right now there's a lot to cover, so let's get started. This is certainly not the Gurren Lagann we've all come to know and love. Everything about its aesthetics have been changed. Though it's not at all unrecognizable, it just seems different. Instead of using the traditional super robot look, Sentinel went for a sculpt that's more akin to a real robot design. It's a look that will definitely appeal more so to Gundam and Macross fans. Nothing about it has been overlooked, the backside is just as detailed as the front, and even the joints were all cleverly incorporated into the design so that they don't pop out or look unnatural. However, the real standout feature is the paint scheme. It's very rare that we get to see a figure painted with so much detail and intricacy, yet also be applied this crisp and clean. There's a vast combination of gloss, matte, and metallic finishes, along with every color being comprised of at least 2 shades. The paintwork is so incredible that you start to believe that this figure might actually be made of all die-cast metal materials, or at least contain a significant amount. The head sculpt is surprisingly the only aspect of this figure that vaguely retains the original super robot look. The gold crest does keep in line with the rest of the figure though, and the paint apps are flawless too. However, when using the second head, it's easy to see where the faults of the real robot design tend to be. This screaming expression is depressingly dull and very un-Gurren-like. Now, for all the praise I've been giving this figure's look, there are some key aspects to its design that I find downright unattractive. I think his entire waist section is too large. It gives him a bulky appearance that I don't think fits well with the general aesthetics. The side skirts are too long, and the cod piece protrudes out just enough so that it reminds me of a samurai's armor. Then there's the fact that almost no extra detail was given to Gurren Lagann's torso. Your eyes are always constantly being led to look at his waist, legs, arms, or head, but never at what's arguably the most unique trait to this robot, the face on his chest. Thankfully, when you remove the shades and add in the red filler piece, you're treated to a pair of beautifully large golden eyes. In fact, I think this is one of the only Gurren Lagann figures that looks better without his shades equipped. Articulation's where this figure shows just how awesome it is, the head on a ball joint. But check it out, connected to those eyes in his chest. So definitely cool stuff there. You could even take off the back plate and play around with this little knob on the back if you want to control the eyes independently of the head. So a really neat gimmick, just super impressed by that alone. The shoulders have this pad here that can move out of the way if you want to move his ball hinge shoulder. This bigger shoulder pad gets in the way, but you can swivel it around, and it is on a ball joint, so you can turn it or just pull it right off if you don't want it there. Bicep swivel, awesome elbow joint, check this out. You can pretty much almost touch his bicep with his fist, and what's cool is this part here only reveals when you pull up the entire elbow, so that's really nice. The wrist itself, very articulate, has a nice peg and swivel. The torso it's alright. It has an ab crunch there, but mine is very loose, and I found that it just tends to be a victim of gravity sometimes. The waist is very tight on mine, but it's present, it's there, and that's a good thing. It's not very good in its range, but it serves its purpose. The side skirts, these pop up because they're on ball joints, and they reveal his awesome ball jointed legs. Great stuff there. There is a thigh cut. Now check this out. So this pops up. Now the thigh itself, when you bend it down, check that out. It just automorphs with it, and then the actual lower leg here, when you go even further, it just segments out. So all really cool stuff. When this whole thing's working in tandem, it is just brilliant. I love stuff like this. The ankle, very articulate, nice tilt up and down, and even the backside, like the elbow, reveals a piece of detailing that's only there when he's fully extended his ankle. So articulation all around, oh my god, it's amazing. I wish all my figures were this awesome in their articulation. However, there is one issue with this figure. He's very light. And by that I mean like really light in my hand. Here is a Figma. This is a standard size Figma. She is obviously smaller than Gurren Lagann, but she is noticeably heavier than this figure. And that is probably my biggest issue with Gurren Lagann as of right now. It is The plastic quality just feels the same as a model kit, and that is very thin and light. In fact, I don't know if it came out through the camera, but in posing this figure, I was very hesitant on some areas and very tentative because I didn't want to break anything. In fact, in an earlier segment of filming this review, I broke this side skirt right off. It was an easy fix with super glue, but the fact remains, I didn't move it very harshly. I pretty much just pulled it up and it snapped. So I don't know, and I'm afraid that there's going to be other pieces on this that it'll just be prone to the same amount of fragility. I don't know. It's just a real shame. I mean, I wish he had die cast or something on here to really balance out the frailness of how he feels in my hand. Apart from his fists, Gurren Lagann comes with 3 other pairs of hands. Swapping them is easy and very similar to the Revoltech solution. However, I would have much preferred each hand to have their own separate pegs, just because they come out so often. As expected, you get an open palm and pointing finger to replicate some iconic poses. The last pair of hands are specifically meant to hold his boomerang shades. They can be held in either direction and fit snugly into the hands. Interestingly, the crack detailing is only on one side. What's really surprising is that you get 2 of these included in the box. Next up are the wrist drills. Attaching them is simple, and for as small as the default wrist guards are, I didn't get the impression that these were going to break. The same can't be said for the miniature drills though, because one wrong move and I'm pretty sure these could snap off instantly. When it comes to the larger drills, you get 2 normal sized ones and 1 extra long drill. Attaching them to Gurren Lagann is identical to the hand swaps. The only difference is that if you don't like the look of his hands becoming of the drills, then you can replace an entire forearm instead. I think it looks good either way, but if I'm honest, I would have traded all 3 of these drills in exchange for 1 massive Giga drill. That's just my opinion though. The last accessory is the Gurren Wing backpack. It's been given a makeover to match the look of this Gurren Lagann too. The wings are fully articulated, and there's also a little gimmick included where you can deploy and retract the jet engine. It's neat. The backpack simply clips onto the back of Gurren Lagann, but it's so tight that when you go to remove it, the back plate also comes with it. Not something I'm a fan of because it's quite hard to separate these two, and the plastic on the back plate is very thin. I can guarantee that one day I will snap the pegs right off of it. Still, when everything's put together, you end up with an awesome looking Gurren Lagann. Much like Gurren Lagann, this display stand is equally as impressive. It may look simple at first, but there are cool things about it that make it unique. First, the top piece here just easily swivels, but if you want it to lock in place, there's a second piece with grooves attached, and it will lock into any place that you want it to stay. Really nice. If you do not like the placement of where the stand is, you can lift this up and place it anywhere else on the sides. If you don't like the fact that it's on the edge, there's a second piece so that you can get it to be placed in the middle. Very cool. And lastly, if you feel like there's a pose that's going to be just too demanding with its height, you can add this piece on here, and these just clip on, like so, to give extra support. Basically it's a right angle triangle, but you place the figure at the top, and then now he'll be supported no matter what pose you put him in. Without a doubt, this is an incredible figure. The toy engineering is innovative and original, the paintwork astounding, and there are enough included accessories to please most Gurren Lagann fans. So, is this by far the best iteration of the famous Super Robot? Well, I'm not entirely sure. Yes, there are definitely a lot of great things going on for this figure, but at the same time there are issues that I simply can't ignore. To start, he is one of those figures in desperate need of diecast to weigh him down. As it stands, he feels too light and fragile. I'm very hesitant when it comes to fiddling with him, for fear of shattering something. He's also quite small. I wish he were at least an inch taller. Then when it comes down to it, I would have preferred a Giga Drill accessory as opposed to what's been included. On any other figure released, most of these complaints would simply be relegated to small nitpicks, but on this figure, all of my issues are magnified due to one specific thing: the cost. RIOBOT Gurren Lagann is, as near as makes no difference, $120, and that's a substantial amount considering what you're ostensibly getting is a 6-inch toy. Moreover, this leads me into my final issue with Gurren Lagann: his real robot-influenced design. Because now not only is he a luxury item, he's also one with a very niche appeal. For every reason that I love the new look, it's also the same reasoning as to why he'll never be my definitive Gurren Lagann figure when it comes to pure aesthetics alone. Ultimately, Sentinel's RIOBOT Gurren Lagann is a figure that's hugely impressive right out of the box, but unfortunately doesn't offer enough to justify the premium price tag. It's also a figure that I carefully pose and display on a shelf rather than leave it on my desk to play with from time to time. On the other hand, if I were to judge this figure ignoring its cost, then I'd say that it's technically unmatched and easily one of the greatest figures I've gotten all year. In many ways, this is the best Gurren Lagann figure that most fans won't care to own. If you're still on the fence, then I've got one final piece of advice. If you're infatuated with this figure's real robot look, or you just love toy engineering, then this is a piece that you'll want in your collection, even if it does cost you more than you like. But if screen accuracy, diecast, and an affordable price is something that sounds more appealing, then I'd say just to hold out for Bandai's Super Robot Gurren Lagann to fulfill your needs. Anyways, this has been Type V3. Thanks for watching, and I hope you don't leave this review more confused than when it started. As for myself, I'm content with my first experience of the RIOBOT line, and while I dislike the expensive price, I'm now more excited than ever to get Sentinel's upcoming releases such as Lagann and my personal favorite, Buster Machine 7.